What if I told you that you don't need to run a million tests to figure out what's going on with your body? In fact, you might not need to test at all in the beginning. Let me show you why symptoms often trump test results and how you can start healing without a lab report. Hi, I'm Carrie Bailey, your functional nutritionist, and I help people recover from long COVID and resolve weird mystery symptoms by yanking them out by the root. So if you're looking for root cause resolution, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, pop a comment below, say hi. I love meeting new viewers. Among the functional medicine community of practitioners, you often hear a phrase that goes like this: test, don't guess. Well, testing is helpful and can give us insights, but it's by far no silver bullet. I get why people want to rely on tests. They give us data. But the problem is, tests don't always match up with what's going on inside our bodies. And in the world of long COVID, this is especially true. So let's talk about the limitations of testing with long COVID. Long COVID manifests in a wide variety of symptoms that can fluctuate and vary from person to person, making it really difficult for tests to capture. Tests can also be incomplete. Not every lab test will cover everything that's happening in your body. Science just isn't that advanced. As much as we wish it was, it just isn't. There is no single test or group of tests that can give us all the answers to the long COVID symptoms that are out there. Tests are also not 100% accurate. Many times I've seen test results that are false positive or false negative. They just don't match your symptoms. So take, for instance, on a standard blood test, you'll have a lab marker that's called CRP, which stands for C-reactive protein. Now, if this comes in what the lab calls the normal range, does that mean you don't have inflammation? No, not at all, because your symptoms are showing that you have inflammation. Another marker that is prone to question is B12. So a lab might measure your B12 in your bloodstream, and they might say, according to our range, you're in the normal range. So a couple things. What is that range? Is it range based on disease, on health? How do we know that's not the right number? So what I see generally is B12 in the blood doesn't tell you what's getting into the cell. And certain cells probably need more B12 than other cells. So for instance, your nervous system or neurological symptoms, which is a big factor in long COVID, requires a lot of B12. So I bring it in regardless of testing. So I wouldn't even test. Even if a test came back saying that you had plenty, I would still put it in if your symptoms dictated that. Testing can sometimes isolate issues, maybe gut health issues or toxins, but it doesn't always show how these factors are interconnected in how they're impacting the body as a whole. So I'd like to emphasize right now the power of tracking symptoms. Tracking symptoms is an underrated tool. Not everyone is aware of how powerful symptom tracking can be. It's free, it's very personal, and it allows you to understand your unique patterns and triggers. And in fact, symptom tracking is a huge part of what I do when I take a person from one session to the next session. It helps me guide what needs tweaking, is there too much of this or not enough of that? And so we use symptoms to track how you're doing. So every session, I want to know, how's your sleep? How's your stool? How's your symptoms? What's going on? These are really important markers to track. Symptoms guide healing. Symptoms are a clue to the root cause, and this provides directions for healing. Diet and lifestyle changes can often lead to noticeable improvements without the need for tests at all. Here's an example. I had a good friend's daughter reached out to me and she texted me. She said, "Hey, Carrie, I'm having some issues. I don't know what they mean." So first is she had a really sore throat. She also had, she said she was really tired all the time and it just wasn't going away. And then her third symptom that she was describing was that her eyes kept wanting to look up when there was fluorescent lights. So this happened when she was in a retail store, in a bar, anywhere there was fluorescent lights, her eyes just kept wanting to go up. She went to the eye doctor, she had her eyes tested. They're like, there's nothing wrong with your eyes and your vision. It's fine. So then she's like, what does it mean? Hopefully on her journey to the next doctor, they don't say, you're crazy, this doesn't mean anything, because I disagree. There is valid meaning to that, what I would call a weird mystery symptom. I've never heard of that symptom before, but I know from her other two symptoms and the fact that this one is also in the same time frame that they're probably related. So we know that a sore throat can be, it could mean she has strep throat, but it can also happen when you have a viral infection. It sounds like a little bit, she's young, she's 25, so maybe the issue is mono, right? Or she maybe have the Epstein-Barr virus. So I encouraged her to support her immune system. And then I encouraged her to go to the doctor and get tested for mono or Epstein-Barr. But again, did we need a test to figure that out? She can test and see what, if it comes back that she has mono or Epstein-Barr. But what if it doesn't? What if the test results say that she didn't have Epstein-Barr and she didn't have mono? Well, again, I gave her the tools to start boosting up her immune system. So we'll see how her symptoms go if she follows my recommendations. It's important to document your progress. So I encourage you to keep a detailed record of all of your symptoms, your food intake, your sleep, and other lifestyle factors so that you can recognize patterns and start making adjustments based on that data. Sometimes people will come to me and say, "Oh, Carrie, I changed this and now all these other things happened." And I said, well, let's look for a trend, right? Let's make that change, but let's watch it over 4 days and see what happens. And usually things sort of change, right? Because what sometimes people think is a reaction to a food or something isn't always, right? And so that's why it's important to keep these records and to track it and to watch for trends and patterns. And it takes sometimes it takes some expertise, right? You're not used to doing this. So that's where working with me might help you guide your journey. And this is also where I love to use, super nerdy me loves to use an Excel spreadsheet. So in your Excel spreadsheet, your first column is A. So go in your column A, list down all of your symptoms in each cell, okay? Then in column B, give your symptoms a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. What's your fatigue, right? Is your fatigue high or low? What's your pain? What's it levels? Where is your pain in your body? Is it in a certain place in your body? How is your brain fog? How would you measure that? Then when you start making changes, you start making dietary changes, go into column C, and maybe you put in, okay, today I added lemon water, and then the next day I took out gluten, and the next day I put in vitamin C, and the next day I took out dairy, right? So each time you make those changes, that way you can watch it on a trend, and then every week remeasure your symptoms. Sometimes if we just think about it in our head, it's not the same as when we journal it. Because when we journal it, it really takes you to that, it's really more formal process of tracking your symptoms, right? If you take like every Sunday to measure your symptoms, right? And then you measure, you're like, oh, wow, I just realized this got better. I didn't even notice, right? And that happens a lot, especially with pain, because nobody wants to think about pain because it's uncomfortable. Remember that symptoms trump test results. Here's another scenario. So let's say you're experiencing digestive issues. You've got gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, pain, things like that, right? So just having those, we know the way the physiology works, that you don't have enough stomach acid. That's the first domino to fall. So if you don't have enough stomach acid, you're not going to make enough bile, and therefore you're probably not breaking down your fats very well. The next part of digestion is your pancreatic enzymes. So if you can't make enough stomach acid and not enough bile, you're probably not making enough pancreatic enzymes. You need all of those to digest your food. So if your food is going in and it's not being digested well, it's going to kind of putrefy and get rancid, and it might not even be moving through your digestive tract well. It can make it susceptible to increase the growth of unwanted bacteria. So you get my drift. We know at the root of organs that aren't functioning well, that the root of that is viruses first. Viruses go in, start messing with things. Next question is, do I have a gut infection? Well, probably. If you have these symptoms, you've got a gut infection. But what if you can start making changes on your own? This is, if you're ready to start getting to the root cause of your resolution, I recommend grabbing my long COVID recovery guide. This amazing tool will give you everything you need to start addressing all of your long COVID symptoms. I put a link in both the comments and in the description below to my long COVID recovery guide. All of that is not to say that tests are useless. If you've been tracking your symptoms and you're making dietary changes and lifestyle changes and you still feel stuck, running targeted tests can be helpful. But the key is knowing when to test. You don't need a full battery of tests to start right off the bat. As I said, there is no test or group of tests that can give you all of the answers to the long COVID symptoms. There's just no test that exists. So healing begins by understanding the physiology behind what's happening in your body, whether it's inflammation or gut health or a weak immune system. We can often start addressing the root causes with food, supplements, and lifestyle changes. And when you get to the root, you begin to heal. Remember that your symptoms are your best guide. So start by tracking them, making small changes, and paying attention to how your body responds. Only test when necessary and only to clear up the picture when you're stuck. Healing is a journey and you can start it today. No tests required. I'm curious if you could leave a comment below about what long COVID symptoms are you struggling with right now? And on a scale of 1 being the lowest and 10 being the worst, what would you rate each symptom that you're experiencing? I'll be reading and replying to each of your comments. If you found this video helpful, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm on a mission to help 1 million people with my videos, so please share this video with someone that you believe might benefit. That's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Bye for now.